Hey everyone, how's it going? So I haven't made a video in like 2, 3 weeks. I was taking a little break for Christmas and New Year's, and I had to focus on some other personal stuff. But over those few weeks, some interesting things have happened. So last November, I'm sure everyone already knows about this, the whole Christine Sprankle and Jeremy Hambley from Unsleeved Media thing went down. And as a result, Unsleeved Media opened up this separate email account, and he invited people to pretty much send in as much dirt as they could about WOTC so he could prove a point, essentially, that they banned him unjustly and he was going to find reasons to have other people banned. But the result of it was a bit bigger than expected. So of the things that people have been sending to Jeremy, the most prevalent of what they've been sending is proof of previous charges from like courthouses and whatnot involving Magic the Gathering judges. Not a lot, just very few, like maybe not even a dozen or so of judges who had been convicted of pedophilia, of possession of child pornography, domestic abuse, etc. So naturally, when you come across information like this, you want to share it. So naturally, Jeremy did, and he went out of his way to share the information, albeit a little forceful. But hey, you know, with something this serious, you kind of have to kick it up a notch. And so he did. He started sharing things, and you know, good for him that that kind of information kind of needs to go out into the public, because parents need to know if there are judges around their kids that could potentially you know, have that kind of history behind them. Not all, but there are obviously a select few that were on this list. And the worst part about it is that list, not all of them, but there were still a few who were still employed by the judge program, which is one of the main reasons why he brought this up, because not only were they not DCI suspended, unlike Jeremy Hambley for his the reasons why he was suspended, but you know, they weren't exiled from the community per se for doing something considerably much more heinous. Now, naturally, you'd think that if a community, especially the Magic the Gathering community, which is very, very, very focused on keeping those that are in the community and, you know, fostering a healthy environment for everyone, they would jump on this. And they would go out of their way, in addition with Jeremy, to root this kind of behavior out, right? You'd think, right? No, they didn't. In fact, besides Unsleeved Media, MTG Lion, so that's 2, MTG Purple, that's 3. I'm not sure, maybe Desolator Magic's made a video. I'm not subscribed to him, so I don't know. But those 3 are pretty much the only people I know that are really talking about this on a consistent level. You know, they didn't just make a little acknowledgement video and just like, oh hey, this is the thing that's going on. They're like actively talking about this, and not only are they talking about just that, but they're also talking about the persistent silence about all of this. It's very strange considering how sensitive this subject is. Now, I understand that there are issues going on with judges right now. Anyone who's following the loop with that Wizards of the Coast is in some legal battles with DCI and judges and fair compensation and all that. You know, maybe this has to do with all of the radio silence, but Wizards hasn't said jack shit. Well, that's not true. Elaine Chase made a really shitty PR post that Wizards retweeted that pretty much deflected the fact that there were judges that were part of this, yet there was substantial proof that these things were actively happening, and they still are happening. Losing track of what I was saying. So Wizards of the Coast pretty much hasn't really talked about this like at all. Hasbro hasn't said anything. Channel Fireball until earlier today hasn't said a thing, and none of the other major Magic the Gathering figureheads has said anything. Tolarian Community College, not even a tweet. Wedge, nothing. Rudy, he doesn't really need to talk about it, whatever. He's not a drama kind of guy anyways. Magic Mics, they didn't say anything until tonight, which kind of propelled me to make this video tonight, because after I'm done talking about all this, I'm going to be reacting to the Magic Mics podcast, because how they handled this situation is exactly how I didn't want to handle this, which is why it's been taking me a while to come up with this video. And there's sirens going on in the background. Because, you know, this situation's been going on for about 3 weeks, and the radio silence about all this kind of left me really angry and disappointed. And I went on this tirade on Twitter about it, and I was going to make a video then, and I decided that I wasn't going to because I didn't want to make something where I made a video and I said something stupid that I would regret later, and I didn't want that permanently in a video, and I just needed to collect myself, and I needed to wait for more information that would come out eventually. And I also wanted to wait for other people's reactions because I wanted to see what the bigger figureheads were going to say and how they were going to handle this situation. Turns out nobody's going to fucking say anything, so I might as well say something about it, right? And that's ultimately what this part of the video is, you know, I mean, obviously I care that there are pedophile judges in the Magic the Gathering community, or else I wouldn't have made a video about this in the first place. But, you know, I'm also a believer in rehabilitation, and the Zach Jesse incident, for anyone who is even willing to remember that back in 2015, you know, it's funny, people were freaking out about Zach Jesse and his charges of rape, even though it is considerably much more tolerable of a situation than what's being currently presented to us, and everyone kind of freaked out about the whole Zach Jesse thing, yet no one's saying anything about these judges. And these judges are authority figures in Magic the Gathering. They have power. You know, they can kick you out of an event, and obviously they're not like the most prevalent members of like any given Grand Prix or anything, but you know, they do have an impression on like kids and stuff. So, you know, this is pretty important in my opinion, and it's just something that's worth discussing. You know, like I said before, Tulare Community College to this day still hasn't said jack shit about it. The Mana Source still hasn't said jack shit about it. Just no one just feels like talking about it, and I think it's because people like Jeremy broke the story, and no one is willing to associate with him or with that story or anything, or take anything that he says seriously because of the situation that happened with Sprankle about a month ago and the years of turmoil with unsleeved media in the past. And you know, whatever, I could be angry at Tolarian and Wedge and all that, but you know, I've already moved on from that at this point. You know, over the past couple months, I've been airing out my frustrations at my other peers in the Magic the Gathering community, and this move doesn't really surprise me in the least. You know, well, it did at first, but given time to think about it, you know, if anything, it's made me a bit more jaded about the Magic the Gathering YouTube community and how focused it is on business and money first, and, you know, trying to avoid controversy and not talk about things like judges diddling kids. But, you know, the professor will make a 20-minute video about Christine Sprankle about unsubstantiated claims of harassment and make it emotionally manipulative to boot. So there's that. You know, I don't really like using the term virtue signaling, but there fucking is. So like I said earlier in the video, probably like a million times or whatever, this is pretty much just me talking about not necessarily the situation at hand, but the reaction to the situation at hand and the absence of a discussion. You know, it's funny, in the Magic Mike's cast, Evan Irwin was saying how no one was asking for a discussion on this. People were just asking for a reaction. No one should have to wait for a reaction. A discussion is inherent. There was a discussion. Unsleeved Media started the discussion, and we all began to talk about it. That's what a discussion is. People weren't demanding a reaction out of you just for the reaction's sake. They were asking for a reaction out of you because you decided that you didn't want to talk about this subject, and people wanted you to talk about this subject because you've already set a standard that you're going to be talking about subjects like these because you have in the past multiple times before, yet you have chosen to avoid it until you're backed into a corner. So, you know, let your true colors show. It's fine. People will take account of that, and eventually, you know, time will come, and eventually people will decide whether or not they want to take your opinion seriously. So there's that. Anyways, let me know what you think in this video. I will be uploading either another video today or tomorrow of me reacting to the Magic Mike's cast. cringe fest. So look forward to that. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Anyways, I'm Tasty Snackies. You all have been wonderful, and I'll catch you on the flip side.